Okay, so this says example 3, but this is going to be our first example. What you see here, this is the equation for a circle, but it's not written in standard form. So the goal is to write it in standard form so that we can then see the center and the radius. And here is standard form. So this is what we're trying to do, is we're trying to go from here to here. So what we're going to do, the way we're going to do that is we're basically going to begin with the end in mind. That's a great expression, begin with the end in mind. So basically I'm going to keep in mind that I want to end up with x plus or minus something squared plus y plus or minus something squared equals some number squared. So in other words, I'm thinking I want to end up something like this. So that's going to guide how I get there. The x terms are all going to be together here. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to rewrite this with all my x terms grouped together. Negative 26x and a blank left. The blank is for completing the square because I'm going to want to complete the square here. Because I don't have complete squares, I'm going to have to get some complete squares to get it in this form. Okay, then I'm going to put all my y terms in a set of parentheses as well. So y squared and 22y, and again I'm going to put a blank because I'm going to be completing the square. Numbers all get moved to the other side. So I'm going to move numbers to the other side. This is now going to become a negative 287. And remember that to keep an equation balanced, whatever you add on one side, you have to add on the other side. Or whatever you multiply by one side, you multiply by the other side. So, or multiply the other side by. So if I'm going to add something here and I'm going to add something here, I'm going to put two blanks over here to fill in those things that go in those blanks. So this is your setup. And if you set it up like this every time, this is how I always set it up. Collect my x's in parentheses with a space. Collect my y terms in parentheses with a space. And notice I'm putting them both on the left and both in the same order that they come in the final form equation. I mean, like, begin with the end in mind totally describes what we're doing here. Numbers go on the right, and make sure you have two spaces for whatever you can add over here to be balanced over here. If you can get this set up right, it kind of guides you in what's going to happen from here on out. Because everything that's going to happen from here on out is just knowing how to complete this into a perfect square. Make this a perfect square, and then when you factor it, you'll get this. So half of my b term. What's half of negative 26? Negative 13. Remember that the half of the b term ends up being what goes in here. So this is divided by 2, or take half. And then what goes in here? What? The negative 13 squared. In other words, we took half of this and then square it to get what goes in there. So I'm just going to write squared. And I'm going to write it in smaller pen because it didn't leave myself much space. And if I write 169 here, I need to write 169 over here. I didn't really need this much space, obviously, but same thing's going to happen here. Half of 22 is what? 11. Now, notice that the sign goes with it. If I take half of negative 26, it's negative 13. Whatever the sign is here, that's what is going to be your sign here. So since this is plus, this is going to be plus. This is times 1/2 or divided by 2. Same thing. And then if I square that, what's going to go added to both sides? 121. So the left-hand side now matches what I want it to look like to be a circle equation, which is like that. The right-hand side will as soon as I simplify this. So I'm going to do negative 287 plus 169 plus 121. What are we going to get? 3 is correct. So this is 3. Okay? So remember that when you're looking at a circle equation, the whole reason the minuses are here on this is because you're looking at the opposite sign of what the point is. So this tells me my center is actually at positive 13, negative 11. Oops, I wrote negative 13. Positive 13, negative 11. And what's the radius? Square root 3. That's all I need.